Hello everyone, this is Claudia from bubblespar.com, and today I'm going to show you how I make this gatefold card. And I recently started learning how to do all kind of folds, and I'm going to show you in future videos. But I'm starting with the easiest one, which is the gatefold card. And the way you do the gatefold is no matter what the length, incidentally mine is 11 inches in length and 4¼ inch high. You have to divide that by 4, and then whatever number you get you score on each side. So mine, I have to score a 2 3/4 on each side, and this will create a perfect gatefold. So no matter what the length of your card is, always divide it in 4 parts, and the middle part will be 2 times that number. And I'm going to use some of my clip arts from the Under the Sea clip art set from bubblespar.com, and then for the papers I'm gonna use some of this beautiful paper part back, and this is from a Dutch company, paperpart.nl, and I really love them. They're so distressed already, and the colors are so pretty and beautiful that yeah, I always like to, you get like 4 or 5 of the same pages, so it's okay if you use them multiple times. I decided to do a story for my gatefold card because I always think of gatefolds like telling a story. On the outside is the entrance and on the inside is the story. So my story is that it starts with the outside, which is the above water, and it will go underwater. So for that I need to embellish my panels, and I have 4 panels, 2 on the outside, 2 on the inside, which are 2½ by 4 inch. So I'm leaving 1/8 of an inch on all around as a border, so that it would look nice. And my inner panel is 5¼ by 4 inch. You will have these measurements on the blog post, and I urge you to just have a look, and you will also see all the products I used in this card in the description of this video and also on the blog post. Now, after I decide to cut all my panels, I wasn't sure when I was cutting if I had the correct measurements, so I'm using my Fiskars cutting trimmer to measure exactly so that I know how to cut. And then I realized that I cut way too much, and I will have to take another sheet of that paper to make a correct panel. And I will use that scrap of paper for what I have in mind for the outside of my card. So you see there I have a pile of scrap paper, and these are all the nice scraps that I have gathered from different kits and also from the same paper pad pack. And I'm gonna use them for the outside panels because that's going to be with this beautiful yellow on the outside, which represents kind of the day. I mean, it's daylight outside, but then it's gonna have some waves down, and I'm going to cut the waves from all those scrap papers. And the reason why I actually wanted to do this card is because I recently acquired a set of dies from Clearly Besotted, and I'll talk about that later. But first, before you do anything with waves and so on, I wanted to show you how I make the closing mechanism, because the gatefold card sometimes doesn't really close very good, so you need kind of a mechanism. And to do that, I cut one circle, and then I make a scallop circle border out of another part. So the closing mechanism will have 2 parts. One will be adhered to one side of the on the left side panel, and one will be adhered on the right side panel, and they will just slide into each other. And now, like I said, I had this Clearly Besotted wave die, which I ordered like a few weeks ago, and I just wanted to see how, if I order directly from their site, how it goes, because it's in Europe and it's kind of easier for me when I order from inside Europe because of taxes and everything. So I was really surprised that the order came really quickly and really fast, and the dyes are just gorgeous. I mean, this wave dye is amazing. The amount of detail on it is just really nice, and in a way, for what I had in mind, it was faster than using my Silhouette, because then that will take almost half an hour to cut all of this, and this only took about, let's say, 10 minutes for all of them. So it was really fast, and yeah, the waves are just nice. I'm cutting and I'm making sure that I have two of the same waves in the same direction from the same color, because I have two panels and they kind of have to be the same, and I'll put the colors of the waves in the same order. So I'm cutting from all my scrap papers, because yeah, well, you still need to use them. You don't have to throw away your scraps. Never throw away your scraps, because you always find ways to use them. And all I have to say about this dye is you have to be very careful when you are separating the two waves, because they're so intricate you might just rip them apart. But if you're really careful, you know, you will just have them all ready in no time. So now I put the two panels down. Those are the front panels, and I'm using my grid mat to align the waves, and I'm starting like halfway down, and I'm gonna just put wave after wave, and I'm trying to alternate the colors and not put two similar colors next to each other. And also I'm not going to put two colors that are losing itself, like lighter blue next to each other. But other than that, I'm just having fun and adhering all the waves. It really makes for a nice sea. In the end, you can just trim away the excess with your scissors, and that was the first panel. What I like about this is that amount of paper really gives a nice weight to the panel, and it will help it close better. Now I try to align the two panels so that I start with the same color in kind of the same height, and then I'm just gonna go with the same, exactly the same colors as I did on the other one, downwards. So I realize now here down that I didn't cover correctly the last part, because one of my waves was way too short. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another wave down there with the same color as the last one, and that will make sure that my panel is really nice and finished. And this part was the hardest part. I mean, that longest taking time part, which is the front of the card, in my opinion, and the rest, the inside, is just putting all the things together. So my scene will have some blue water it's underwater, right? And I use this beautiful blue distress paper, so I don't actually have to do anything, because the papers are so cool. So I adhere my panels, and I'm not actually going to let any space for sentiment inside, because I just want to tell my story, which is like Jean-Jacques Cousteau, if you remember him going with his submarine underwater and seeing all these wonderful things and having adventures and everything, just reminds me when I was a kid and watching those shows. And you know, it's just go ahead, have your adventure and enjoy the beautiful earth and everything, and be happy that you live here on this planet. That's my take on it, and I hope you guys like it. I have these clip arts cut with my Silhouette. You can easily cut them with your scissors, but because there were so many, I just decided to just print an A4 with all of them and just cut it in one go. And I'm just trying to figure out, because I cut different sizes of all the elements. Some of the coral, even though they're the same color, I cut them bigger or smaller. So I'm trying to see which one I'm going to use. And now I started adhering with my snail adhesive, but then I decided I'm just going to use some liquid adhesive, and I'm putting some Tombow Mono multi glue. but because it always makes a mess for me, because I kind of always put too much and then I have to clean it in between, I'm gonna use my Zig pen later on. And I just bought the Zig glue pen on my latest, you know, buying spree, whatever you want to call it. I don't buy that much, but when I do, I try to buy mainly tools like glue and you know, other stuff, because papers, well, those ones I have a lot. And I wasn't sure about the glue pen, but actually it did the job wonderfully, and it actually adheres very strongly, so I'm happy with it. Yay. Now I was thinking, because I really like these weird folds, and I'm kind of getting bored of always doing the same, you know, normal card, normal A2 card. I'm going to do a series probably with folds as soon as I, you know, finish my these weeks where I actually have to work also in the nights and so on, and I don't have really the time to do much now. These are some videos that I filmed before my vacation, but once I finish all that work, I will, you know, start a nice series. And also I wanted to thank all the people that subscribe to my channel. I haven't realized that I have so many subscribers. I haven't even looked at because I'm secretly afraid that I won't have that many, but then when I looked and I saw that I have almost 600 subscribers, I was like, wow, that is so cool. Thank you all for subscribing, and like I said, once I'll finish on my work with this weird schedule, I will for sure have to film a giveaway soon, so stay tuned for next week for that. Now I am adhering my panel, two panels, and I'm doing that last because it will be quite heavy, and then it will be hard to adhere stuff inside if I do that first. And to do my closing mechanism, first I'm going to stamp my sentiment, which is going to say happy birthday. This is from a Simon Says stamp sentiment set, and I'm going to emboss it. And before I emboss, I usually use my powder tool to remove any of, you know, the static that comes from my hand and all the oils, because as old girls use creams for the hand, our hands are quite oily, so you have to remove that if you want your embossing powder to just stick to where the sentiment is. And since this had quite intricate handwriting there, I want to make sure that I don't mess it up. And besides the sentiment, I'm going to use a heart for that little space that is left there, and I'm going to stamp that one in the most juiciest ink I've ever seen, which is the Simon Says stamp ink pad that I got from a kit a while back. And this red is just amazing. It's so strong. I cannot believe I'm saying this again, but it's awesome color. I'm just cutting it with my scissors all around, and it goes quite easy. I could have probably used a punch, but I didn't know where my punches are. I never know where my punches are, and they're all over the place, so I'm quite a messy crafter, let's say that. Now, to do the closing mechanism, what you have to do is adhere half of the frame on one side of the panel. You choose which one, and then you adhere the half of the circle, the opposite half, to the other panel. And this way you make sure that the two folds of the gatefold will close in each other and will stay secure there. So this is the simplest way. You can do this with squares, with circles, with anything you want, but yeah, the easiest thing to remember is that you have to have one element that slides in the other, so one frame with one inner part adhered on the opposite sides. And this was kind of it for the card today. Stay tuned for more, and thank you so much for watching. Let me know how you do your gatefold cards and what you think of this take on it. If you liked this card, please don't forget to let me know, or if you didn't like, let me know what you didn't like about it. If you want to subscribe, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you like to see the measurements for the card and what I used to make this card, like some of the products, go ahead and go to the blog post for this card. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.